You know, there are times when I'm talking with a mom and dad and their child about the adjustment that it takes to go to camp. And I sometimes use the example of when a child first puts his foot in the ocean. And I'll say to the child, when you're first putting your foot in the ocean, how does it feel? And the child's response is, it feels cold. And I say, well, what happens after you wait for about 15 or 20 seconds? And inevitably the child will say it warms up. And the point that I make to the child is that the ocean is not getting warmer. The child is adjusting to the temperature of the ocean. And I think it's very similar when a child first goes to camp. When you first pull into camp, it might be like putting your feet in the ocean and it might feel a little bit cold. But as soon as you meet the counselor and he says hi and he introduces himself and he puts out his hand and shakes your hand, it feels a little bit warmer. You're feeling the adjustment and you're feeling more comfortable. And then you might feel a little bit cold again making your way to the bunk because you've never been there, but you see your bed made and your shelf set up and you meet 4 or 5 other boys and you're throwing a ball around and all of a sudden you're feeling warm and you're feeling that adjustment. So I really feel that there's an analogy that a child would understand that it is similar. I mean, you want to get in that ocean, you want to jump in and swim and play all the time, but you might have to have your toes cold for a couple of seconds before you enjoy the swim.
So I think one of the best parts about Takajo with regards to the women's staff is that there's a woman in every bunk for the younger campers, and they really need that transition to come from their mother who's with them every day when they come home from school asking them how their day is, to having someone when they come back from their activities, having someone who's there asking how their day was, what was the highlight of their day, was there anything that was bothering them. To have that womanly support is really important for any new camper that's getting here for the first time.
Well, I'm so glad that my parents and I decided to go to Takajo because it's a really fun place and you meet a lot of friends, and I didn't know anybody when I went to Takajo, and I just met a lot of friends, and it's really, really fun.
I work in the bunk as a camp mom, and we have the same responsibilities as the male counselors. We don't sleep in the bunk, but we are in the bunk with the boys in the morning. We help with cleanup, help sweep the floor, make the cubbies nice, and then we are in there during rest hour. In the afternoon, help with writing letters. And then we're in there at night with showers, make sure the boys are showering, using shampoo, brushing their teeth at night, getting them calm, ready for bed, making sure they're not homesick, and making sure they're having a good time at camp. All the little things that a mom would want us to do.
One of the things I think you'll find important as a parent in sending your child here is that we will care for them like you will care for them. There's an attention to detail here that I think parents find very reassuring. We know what's going on with each child, we know what's happening, and we do our best to make sure that every child has a great experience.
I think a really important point to make when you think about camp in general for children is that you almost have to fast forward as a parent a little bit and think beyond the early nurturing years. You want to think about what kind of a foundation you want to create for your child. And the only way to create the foundation for your child is to give them the opportunity to develop life skills in an age-appropriate way away from you. And that only happens at summer camp. If your children are staying home, if you're carpooling, if you're driving them from one program to another, it's more difficult to develop self-reliance and a sense of independence. And I can tell you from working with older children, those are lifelong skills you want your children to have. You want your children to be able to handle the cliques and the idiosyncrasies that are going to happen in high school. You want your child to make the right decisions and have a strong sense of self. You develop a strong sense of self when you have the camp experience under your belt. So, as a parent thinking about camp, don't just think about your child today. Think about your child in the future. Think about the child you want your child to become. And the self-reliance and that independence comes from a healthy camp experience. Teach your child how to be independent, how to fend for themselves in an age-appropriate way. Let them know that you're not going to be there to handle every need at every moment. And your child is going to grow and develop and become a much better person because of this camp experience.
I think what's unique about Takajo is the fact that we really care about developing values for children. And those values can be done on a baseball field or through the waterfront or whatever activity we offer here. But the main thing what we're trying to do is we're just trying to make boys grow into responsible adult men. And by the facilities that we have and the staff that we have here, it really does make a difference. And that's sort of that's how we carry ourselves as we go through our days here.
I definitely think my parents made the right choice sending me to Takajo because all the stuff here is just great and my bunk is just amazing. So many friends that I've had for 4 years and I just love it so much.